The Hyundai Creta is arguably one of the most popular mid-size SUVs in Nepal. It's stylish, it's packed with features, and available in a wide array of variants. But how well does this new facelift stack against today's competition? Let's find out. And today I have the facelift Hyundai Creta in the SO variant. This car is with a automatic IVT gearbox and a 1.5 liter naturally aspirated engine. And if you're curious about power figures, this car produces 84 kilowatts at 6,400 RPMs. And if you're curious about torque, it produces 143 Newton meters at 4,500 RPM. Oh, and this car is equipped with a 50-liter fuel tank. And while we're talking about fuel, how about mileage? Well, the company claims about 12 to 14 liters in the city, maybe 16 and 17 on the highway. But I tested this out. You're in bumper to bumper city traffic. It's hot outside. You have the AC cranked up. You're gonna get way lower than that. Let's be for real. And as for practicality on this car, for a car with a wheelbase of about 2.6 meters, this car comes paired with a ground clearance of 190 mm, which means that any sort of underground parking, rough road patches, and a bit of off-road too, it's gonna handle it ample and easy. As for boot space at the back though, it comes with 433 liters, but that can be expanded by folding the rear seats downwards in that traditional 60:40 ratio. Alright, enough of the numbers and stats. I'm quite excited to see what this new generation of Creta has, so let's get driving. Oh my god, seat belts first. Ignition. Always drive responsibly and safely. Alright, here we go. The Creta sure feels at home driving in the city. It's got a charm of its own. It's big enough that you feel spacious and comfortable on the inside, but it's also small enough that it'll get through most traffic jams. And this car comes with 3 driving modes: an eco, a normal, and a sport that can be toggled via this dial at the bottom. And if you are driving an automatic version, it gets 3 additional traction modes that can be toggled via a click of the dial between snow, mud, and sand, depending on what sort of terrain you're on. Let me tell you about the sports mode because I've genuinely been enjoying it. Like, shifted into sports and then suddenly the engine revs quicker, it holds gears longer, and suddenly everything becomes more sensitive. Your braking, your acceleration, and one right shift of the gear lever, you can change it into a manual mode. So a back and a front push of the gear lever will actually change gears, but so as these paddle shifters. Shift down a gear, it's actually holding on to a gear. All right, back into eco and automatic. I don't need that. Did you hear that though? It was pretty good, right? And this is all thanks to that IVT gearbox, intelligent variable transmission, as they call it. It's basically a CVT gearbox, but made in such a way that it mimics and simulates gear changes, and that it does. Like, you can actually engine brake on this on a decline. I tested it out, but beware. I do want to throw it out there that this Creta isn't a car that you really drive enthusiastically. You start pushing it around and this car will tell you that it won't like it. As for brakes on this car, it's got 4 disc brakes, and As long as you're not trashing the car around, it's more than adequate for city and highway usage. And speaking of creature comforts on this car, it comes with an electronic parking brake and auto hold. Believe me when I say this, auto hold is a game changer on all modern cars. It also has this additional nifty feature where it cuts off the engine and reignites it during traffic stop and go. But sometimes it can get finicky because even when I stop for the pedestrian to sometimes cross the road, the engine just automatically cuts off. However, the ignition is very smooth. Dare I say, like super smooth. You really can't feel that vibration at all. Which brings me to the part about suspension. Well, it's on the plusher side, definitely. It's got a McPherson strut setup at the front and a torsion beam combination at the back, which is very similar to other vehicles in this segment. But I say it handles the rebound really well, but the recoil sometimes passes the vibrations onto passengers for some reason. And I checked my air pressure via the TPMS here. Everything seems to be okay in the low 30s PSI, of course. So I'm not sure what's going on, but overall it's a very good system, well balanced. Well, it's got manual adjustment for seat, but you can put it up in a high position like what I am right now, and as a result you have like phenomenal view of the road, and I can see where each of the four wheels are right in front. Like, it's amazing, especially if you're like a beginner driver or something. And wait a second, before we move on to the next section, can I redirect your focus down here to the buttons? Like, I absolutely love the fact that this car has buttons, knobs, and dials all over, not just the center console, but on the steering wheel as well. And let me tell you, it makes multitasking, especially in city traffic, so much easier. Okay, and as for the exteriors, it's got an angular theme with square pixels, and what do you think? It looks sort of aggressive to me. I guess this is Hyundai's new design language after all. So starting at the front, I have the bonnet open. It's quite a big, heavy bonnet, but on the left-hand side, you have your wiper fluids, your 1497cc engine block there, your 12-volt battery fuse box, radiator, air intake, coolant right below, and space open here for a radiator, hydraulic fluids at the back there. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, and wiper fluids, the blue cap. Closing that. Immediately at the front, you are greeted by a big Hyundai badge and a angular boxy sort of front grille, which, by the way, has massive air intakes. You can see the radiator behind up there, and both down below here too. Number plate here, you have this new addition by Hyundai, a plastic sort of skid plate at the front. And then coming to the side though, you have a proper full LED treatment of lights here. Hyundai called this a quad beam LED headlamp. It's also got sequential side lights. And up on top though, you have these wipers there, followed by some of your sensors on top there. Then coming onto the side, your mirrors have integrated indicators. The upper variants come with blind spot detection and cameras. And up on top, you have a massive panoramic sunroof with very sleek looking roof rails. But coming down though, you have these black alloys, and I find these rims very stylish. The tire size on this are 215/60 R17s, and it's got a good thick tire wall to soak in bumps and everything. The lesser variants come with a smaller 16-inch rim. Oh, and by the way, the spare wheel at the back is also a 16-inch rim, So coming back up and out, it's still got that Creta look that we all love, right? So it's got decent sized thick B pillars and just opening the doors, pretty wide openings, like almost 90-degree, though I wouldn't say it's a full 90-degree. Very heavy thuds. I think that assures quality. Then coming at the back on the C pillar, you do have a bit of a dual tone chrome highlight that just stretches from the top and just wraps around the car. Very wide, chunky sort of lower area. And then up on top, you have a shark fin antenna right at the back, followed by a top mounted stoplight and rear spoiler. And then, oh, look at that, you have a wiper. Love that. Thank you, Hyundai, for no cost cutting there. Then down below, you have a Hyundai badging and a tail bar that just wraps all around the car. These are LED lights at the back too, and more of that sequential side light going on back here too. At the bottom, you have your Creta badging on one side, and you have a reverse light at the bottom with another plasticky skid plate that Hyundai has added. Reflectors on each side. There's also a tow hook down here. And then it seems you have 1, 2, 3, and 4 parking sensors. And what I might have missed is the fuel cap on this side. Alright, so starting with the interiors on this car, right off the bat on the driver's door, you have a big window followed by all your window controls at the bottom here. For windows, your lock and unlock, your mirror controls, folding your mirrors in and out and adjusting the angle, and then a lock window disability button for child lock in case you have kids at the back. At the bottom here, you have a pretty decent size bottle holder and more cubby space on the side here to put in quite large, deep items. It's a lot of hard plastics with a bit of softer touch, smoother plastic, but plastic nevertheless on the door. And then coming inside, you have your on and off button, your automatic on and off, your traction control, and then your headlight angle. Your OBD connects right below there. This is an automatic, so you have just 2 pedals, and then your engine opening, the bonnet opener is here. Your fuel cap is down there at the bottom. And then your seat is all manually adjustable. And so coming into the car, starting with the driver's seat, here I have a horn. The left side of your steering wheel is your buttons for media control, your, sorry if it's not focusing, but your voice adjustment on top, your voice assistant when Apple CarPlay is connected, mode of input, your call in, and then a favorite. And on the right hand side are your cruise control buttons as well as your driver's display buttons. I'll go over the driver's display and infotainment on a separate video, so be on the lookout for that. But behind the steering wheel, on the left hand side are your wipers, including your rear wipers. And then on the right hand side is your stock for your, what is this? Right, your headlights and your indicators. Also, you do have paddle shifters at the back here, which do change the gears, and it is really fun, this car. Let me show it to you. Foot on the brake, power button, and that is your starting animation. I already have a low fuel warning. But basically down here are your HVAC controls. So it's a dual zone climate, one for this side. And you can also sync it, defrosting buttons here, emergency light here, your air circulation, AC, and just auto, off, fan speed, and your air direction. It's all right there in front of you. Coming down, you have your gear lever here. Basically, there's a button here, P for park, R for reverse, neutral, and then drive. But at the front here, you have USB-C, a 12-volt 180-watt outlet, and a USB-A. Apple CarPlay on this car is wireless, so that is a great touch. You do have two rather big bottle holders in the middle too. Your electronic parking brake and auto hold in the middle, and then this is for your drive button, a knob. Onto the passenger side though, you have a bit of a storage space here. Probably won't fit anything big, maybe your cell phone, and then the rest of your dashboard. I do like the parametric sort of pattern on the dashboard. It's supposed to look like a seamless dashboard, but there is a bit of a line that you can clearly see in the middle. And on the left hand side, it's a pretty big glove box. All my camera equipment are there, and I don't know if you can see that inside, but it's actually a cooled glove box when your air conditioning is on. You have very light colored fabric seats. You might want to get a seat cover on this car. Not gonna lie, even from my quick review testing, I feel like I've already left a fingerprint or two. And then in the center, you have an armrest, which at the moment just has paperwork in it, but it's a pretty decent size paperwork. Also on top, the sunroof is open at the moment. Here are your controls for your sunroof and your lights according to the door opening or not, or you can press it. And you have a glare reduction, anti-glare reduction rear mirror, but it has to be done manually here. On the right hand side, you have a sun visor that swings out like this. And then that is the same on the passenger side, but on the passenger side you have a mirror for your occupant. At the back, it's the same sort of treatment with hard plastics. But what's that? You actually have a sunshade blocker, a manual sunshade blocker, in case you're not about the afternoon heat. And at the back, you have a very roomy and spacious 3 seats. So straight getting in. At the back, your passengers do get 2 air vents for AC and 2 USB-C outlets in case you want to charge anything. The driver's side does not get any opening, but I can see behind the plastic. This is a completely new car. There is a pouch here for your passenger side. Hence, because this car has barely done 500 km off the lot, none of the plastics have been removed. Thanks Hyundai for supplying this new unit. There is a middle armrest here, again inside plastic, with 2 cup holders as I've been told. There are 2 ISOFIX points on each side for big baby seat. This is very similar to my driver's position. I'm 5'9" by the way. Decent amount of leg room down here. Knee room is also pretty good. And shoulder room is great. Headroom is also pretty damn nice. It's a very well equipped and spacious backseat cabin with tons of room. And with the sunroof open, I'm sure it would look very ample and spacious back here. So this is definitely a pass, even and especially for highway runs. So we sometimes hear that success brings success, and I bet that is the case with Creta. Let me tell you a story at the end of this video. I had a neighbor who bought one of the first gen Cretas probably in 2016, and just this year they bought this facelift version straight. Like, this entire time they didn't bat an eye elsewhere. They didn't even look at these attractive EVs on offer. Just straight up went and replaced their old Creta with the new one. Wow. Like, I can see Hyundai's commitment. When I was researching about this vehicle for this video, I was just mind blown about the sheer number of variants they have to offer, making it an option for all sort of customers that aspire for the Creta. Like in Nepal alone, this car comes in 6 different variants, like depending on specifications and features and gearbox type. But then just across the border in India, you can add engine types. It's got a turbo cousin. You can add different gearboxes. You can add petrol and diesel. And dare I say, it's going electric too now. Oh, and don't forget, this car also has a sporty cousin in the N line. So like, even if you are rolling out of the showroom with a base variant that's pretty bare bone, you're still getting a Creta. But if you really want to splurge on everything, you can go for the full option with all the features, the automatic gearbox, and Hyundai has, on this top extreme end, also added the latest and greatest ADAS level 2, meaning that it is going to take care of your forward and rear collisions, interventions, warnings. You're all set to go on the highway in Uber technology. And so if you think back to a time before the Creta, Hyundai was always synonymous with hatchbacks like the trusty Santro and i10 that sold in large volumes. But after the Creta, I think it was an upgrade like no other. Anyway, that was me for this review. Do drop a comment about what you thought and where you think this model will go here on out with the new electric model coming in. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.